morning, children. So we are here with the continuation of the lesson, the enemy, and we will have to start from page number 32 of your textbook, page number 32. So we will be just briefing up the things. Okay, so already we have seen that Dr. Sadao and his wife takes one of the injured soldier who was lying in the coast, who was taken by the water, and they have taken him home, and they are planning or they want to rescue him in some or the other way. And we have also seen that the servants in Sadao's house are not cooperating, as they consider the American as their enemy. Okay, but Sadao, being a doctor, he is very much responsible towards his duty, and his duty is to save the life. So even though they are the soldier is being an American is their enemy, it is his responsibility towards his profession that force him to save this man. Okay, so in page 32 we will be continuing, and so we have seen that the servants are not cooperating, and she have to do it by cleaning by herself. Okay, and so what is she while she was cleaning? Okay, she didn't like the man. Okay, so it's been written while she was thinking these thoughts, though not really liking the man better now that he was no longer a child, she kept on washing him until his upper body was quite clean. Okay, but she dared not turn him over. Where was Sadao? Now her anger was ebbing. Ebbing means it was gradually decreasing. Okay, so now her anger has come down, and she was just wondering where Sadao had gone, and she is anxious. And she stands again, and she wipes her hands on the long towel and things like that. And she puts the quilt over the man, thinking that he might be feeling cold. Okay, and Sadao, she just calls him very softly. And what was he doing? So what was Sadao doing? In the paragraph you can read that he has bought his surgeon's emergency bag, and he was wearing the surgeon's coat also. And she asked, "Oh, so you have decided to operate him?" And he says, "Yes, of course." And he unfolds all the sterilized towel upon the floor of the tokonoma alcove means tokonoma alcove means it's already given. It's a niche. It's an alcove in a Japanese home for displaying the flower arrangements or the other pieces of art. So he just where the architectural not architectural, the fineries are being kept over there to display the flower or any kind of art. So he spreads his sterilized towel over there and fetch towels. Okay, she went there. She just obeys him, and then what she do is she was just preventing the blood from ruining the carpet or the place, anything over there. And what she did was she just went out to the veranda where the gardener was keeping a matting, which is to protect the delicate shrubs from the cold nights. So she is just taking it out so that the blood will be flowing in on that mat, not the one which is being spread in the room. And what she does is, when she by the time she comes back, she has shown that she sees that the blood had already gone or flown to the carpet over there, and the blood had already ruined the mat which was being put under it. And she just, the kind of a woman, she cries, "Oh, my mat." Okay, and Sadao just replied, "It's okay, it has ruined, but the more important thing is the person's life, not the man." And she just kept on obeying him without any word. And Yumi would not wash him, she said. Did you wash him then? Sadao asked, not stopping for a moment his swift, concise movement. So, and in between she is saying that Yumi said that I won't wash him. So Sadao was asking, oh, so did you wash him? Okay, and without stopping the swift, concise movement. Concise means short. Short. Okay, and she says yes, and what he says is he did not seem to hear her, but she was used to his absorption. So he just neglected it because he was so absorbed in the work that he was doing, the surgery, and he was involved in it. And he says in the next page, page number 33, he says, you will have to give the anesthetic if he needs it. So he asks Hannah to give the anesthesia if he requires that, and she is a bit upset, and she says that because she have never done that. Okay, so he just calms her down and says that it is pretty easy and it's not that much risky. And now he just removes the packing with which the wounded person is covered, and what happens, the blood now starts to flow very quickly, and he peered into the wound with the bright surgeon light fastened in his forehead. So in the picture you can see there is a light which he had fastened on his forehead. So he just examines with the bright light into the wound, and the bullet is still there. So the bullet is still the gunshot that he had received. And now I wonder how deep this rock wound is. If it is not too deep, it may be that I can get the bullet, but the bleeding is not superficial. He has lost much blood. Okay, so he just have to examine how deep is the wound made by the rock, and if it is not that deep, he can easily take over the bullet. And he says that the bleeding is not superficial. What do you mean by superficial? Superficial means it is not just on the surface, existing and on the surface. Okay, it's not just the surface level that the bleeding is. It is some internal. It has gone very deep too. Okay, and now Hannah chokes. Okay, Hannah is not at all have never seen such scenes or such operation ever in her life. So she is becoming uncomfortable, and he looked up and saw her face the color of sulfur. The color of sulfur here means becoming yellowish in color, becoming pale. Okay, sulfur in color means becoming pale. Or yellowish. Okay, and yeah, so he says that please don't faint. Okay, and he did not put down his exploring instrument. He is not stopping with his work, and what happens is she just leaps means jumped out of the room or from the bed with her hands on her mouth, and outside the garden Sadao can hear that she is wrenching. Okay, wrenching here means vomiting. Vomiting. But he was so helpless. He can't leave the patient and go and help his wife. So he feels that I couldn't go to help my wife just because of this person. He is in full of distress. He just curses the man. Okay, and he thinks in the next page, this man, he thought, there is no reason under heaven why he should live. Okay, and unconsciously this thought made him ruthless, and he proceeded swiftly. In his dream the man mourned, but Sadao paid no heed except to mutter, at him. So he is so angry with this person, okay, and he is wondering why for the heaven's sake am I saving this person. And he, in this thought, it made him ruthless. Ruthless means harsh, merciless. And even though the person, the patient who's lying here is mourning with pain or muttering something, he just didn't pay heed to anything. He didn't listen. So thou didn't listen to him, and he just went on continuing with his work, blabbering or muttering something. And groan, he muttered, the patient. And he says that, groan if you like, I am not doing this for my own pleasure. In fact, I do not know why I am doing. So he just, I don't know why I am doing all these things. You can groan, I can't help you out. And Hannah comes in, and where is the anesthetic? She asked in a very clear voice. Now she is pretty well. And so the motion and just shows where it is. And it is as well that you came back. He said, this fellow is beginning to stir. Here, beginning to stir means gaining consciousness. Beginning to stir means gaining consciousness. Gaining consciousness. So we have to give him the anesthesia. And she had a bottle and some cotton in her hand, but how shall I do it? Okay, so she is pretty confused. Simply saturate. Saturate means wet. So he's saying that we have to wet the whatever anesthesia in the cotton. Simply saturate the cotton and hold it near his nostrils, just like we give chloroform. It is just like that. So you have to wet it first, and then you have to hold it near his nostrils. And so thou replied without delaying for one moment, and the intricate detail. Intricate means all the minute detail of his work. When he breathes badly, move it away a little. So when he is breathing badly, so you have to move that back. And she crouched. Crouch means she just sat near in a bending position over to close to the sleeping face of the young American. It was piteous, thin face, she thought, and the lips were twisted. The man was suffering whether he knew it or not. Watching him, she wondered if the stories they heard sometimes of the suffering of the prisoners were true. They came like flickers of rumor told by word of mouth and always contradicted. In the newspaper, the reports were always that whenever the Japanese armies went, the people received them gladly with cries of joy at their liberation. But sometimes he remembered such man as General Takima, who at home begged his wife cruelly, though no one mentioned it now, that he had fought so victorious a battle of Manchuria. If a man like that could be so cruel to a woman in his power, would he not be cruel to one like this, for instance? So when she goes near to the face of that man, his face is very, she could recognize the tortures that this man has suffered. And they say that, she says that she have always heard about the sufferings that a prisoner had to undergo if they are caught in the enemy troop. Okay, and all these are heard stories, and many of the stories had a contradiction, was just the opposite. And she has also heard that whenever the Japanese soldiers used to visit a place, the people used to welcome them with applause victoriously, because they have fought various war where they have become very victorious. And then she mentions about one person, one general named Takima, who used to beat his wife at home. Okay, so she is just wondering if a man like this can beat up a woman in his house like this, will he be very cool and calm to, or will he be very kind to a soldier, an enemy that he gets into his hand, if he gets an enemy in his hand. So she is just making a, she's thinking about all these things. And yeah, she now says that this person have undergone so much of torture, and she scars. Okay, and Sadao did not answer. He is very much involved in the surgery, and what he says is, at this moment he felt the tip of the instrument strike against something hard, dangerously near the kidney. So he is just examining. So the instrument, the tip of the instrument have now stuck with something which is very hard, and that is very close to the kidney as well. Okay, all thought left him. He felt only the purest pleasure. He probed with his fingers, delicately familiar with every atom of this human body. So he's just examining the human body very properly, and he just thinks about what his old American professor had said. And his old American professor of anatomy, who studies about the body of a human, had seen to that knowledge, and what is being said? Ignorance of human body is the surgeon's cardinal sin. Cardinal sin means basic. Okay, and sirs, he had thundered at his classes year after year. To operate without a complete knowledge of the body, as if you had made it, anything less than that is murder. So you have, before operating, you have to understand, you have to have a close study about the body, and if you are not doing like that, it is near, it is just like a murder. And it is not quite at the kidney, my friend, Sadao murmured. It was his habit to murmur to his patient when he forgets himself in an operation. My friend, he always called his patients, and now he did. So now he did, forgetting that this was his enemy. So he used to murmur, always murmur when he is performing the operation, and he also used to call my friend, even means forgetting that the person who is lying over there is his enemy. Okay, and the operation goes on. Then quickly, with the cleanest and most precise means accurate. Accurate. Okay, precise of incisions. Incisions means the surgical cuts. Okay, incision here means the surgical cuts, and the bullet was out, and the man cured means shivered. Okay, but he was still unconscious. Nevertheless, he muttered a few English words. Guts means the bravery. It is an informal way. So guts means bravery. He muttered, choking. They got my guts. Sadao, Hannah cried sharply. Hush, Sadao said, and the man sank into silence. So profound. Profound means intense. That Sadao took up his wrist, hating the touch of it. He doesn't want to touch the man, but still there is no other option. Yes, there was still a pulse so faint, so feeble, but enough if you wanted the man to live to give hope. But certainly, and he just leaves there, and he asks Hannah not to give, no more anesthesia should be given to him. And after that, and from the instrument, he just took out a small vial in the last paragraph. Vial means it is a small container, V-I-A-L. Vial means it's a small container, and from it filled a hypodermic. Hypodermic means needle. Okay, and thrust means to push, giving injection into the patient's left arm. And then putting down the needle, he took the man's wrist again. The pulse was under his finger, and the pulse under his finger fluttered. Fluttered means trembled once or twice, and then grew strong. The pulse became normal. And this man will live in spite of all, said to Hannah and sighed. So the young man now woke up. He was so weak, and his eyes were terrified, thinking that where he had reached. And that Hannah felt compelled to apologize, to feel sorry, and she herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. So now he has have to be given something, food or something like that. So because nobody else would be giving it, so Hannah herself have to give it. So when she came in the first time, she saw him summoned. Summon means to gather a small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing. He was trying to do something. So she begged him. She said that it's okay, you are safe, don't be afraid. And he asked, how do you speak English? And so Hannah says that they had been in America for a long time, and so they could speak English. And she asks or tells him that you are going to be strong now, you will be just fine within a few days. And on the third day of the operation, after the operation, when Sadao came into the room, he found the young man sitting up. So he was just sitting up, and his face bloodless with the effort. So he was trying very hard, and this have made him pale or weak. Okay, and Sadao shouts at him or scolds him, telling that you have to lie down, are you going to kill yourself? Okay, so he just asks, who are you, and etc. And he says, he tries to say, I am, and the person, the soldier asked him that, are you going to hand me over to the police? So Sadao said that, yes, of course, because we can't keep you in our house for a long time. And by the time the person was about to say something, Sadao just keeps his fingers on his mouth and he says that, don't say anything, I don't want to know even your name, okay, please don't mention anything. And he keeps quiet, okay. And after that, okay, they had a, so Hannah was waiting for Sadao, and Hannah says that to Sadao that Yumi and the other servants are feeling uncomfortable to work in a house where the masters have hidden an enemy over here. So, and they think that, the servants think that, as we have been staying in America, or we have been living in America for a long time, we have a consideration for the Americans. Okay, so this is what the servants are thinking. So this message is passed on to Sadao, and Sadao says that it's not true. That's not really true. Okay, it has been harsh. Americans, he says that Americans are always our enemies. But what have I been trained to? I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. So being a doctor, it is my moral responsibility to save a dying person. I can't let a person die in front of my eyes. So it is because of that I have saved this person, not because that I am thinking that Americans are friends. Okay, so she says that they will never try to understand. And so again they have a discussion regarding the gardener who is specialized in moss. Moss is a very small green plant. Okay, so he just says how he takes care of all these things, how the servants are working over here from the time of their father, from the time of Sadao's father. Okay, and how they used to keep the garden clean without allowing any of the leaves to be fallen on the ground or on the moss, how they used to take care of everything. And the young master is so proud of his skill to save life that he saves any life. The cook said contemptuously. So the cook is saying that our master is so proud of his skill of saving life that he will save the life of anyone, even if it is an enemy. So he is just saying disrespectfully. And the other woman over there, she's just holding a fowl hen in her hand, and she's saying that she has just cut the neck of the fowl, and she says that this blood of the fowl is the The best fertilizer for Wisteria vine. Wisteria vine is a flowering plant used for decoration. So she says that the blood of this fowl is the best fertilizer for the Wisteria vine. And the gardener never allows to waste any drop of the blood. So she puts that blood under the root of the Wisteria vine. Okay, and yeah, it is the children of whom we must think. Yumi said sadly, what will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor? So the Yumi is saying that we have to take care of the children's future. So what will happen to their future if their father is being named as a traitor? Okay, and they did not try to hide what they said from the ears of Hannah, because Hannah was standing there and they are purposefully saying all these things so that Hannah would hear it. Okay, in purpose they were speaking, and she did not just say anything, she just ignored everything. And yeah. Okay, and after that we find that in the next page, page number 38, we find that the last stitches on the man's body is being fine, and the young man will be okay in a fortnight. Okay, and so Sadao went back. What he did was he went back to his office and typed a letter to the chief of police reporting the whole matter. Okay, that is on this particular day. I got a man from the shore, in front of my shore of my house, and he was badly wounded, and he just didn't complete the typing. He just left it there and he kept it secretly under the shelf. Okay, and on the 7th day after the operation, two things happened. Okay, what are the two things? That the servants left together. All of the servants went away from Sadao's home, tying their belongings, taking everything. They just left the house. And without, the house was not at all cleaned, nothing, they did nothing. One fine morning they got up and just left the house, and she knew what it meant. Okay, and she was dismayed. She was dismayed means she was shocked and even terrified, but her pride as a mistress would not allow her to show it. And and she paid them and she thanked them for whatever they had did. And the cook and the gardener were crying, and but she did not cry. And Yumi was also crying because thinking about the children. So what she did is, Yumi started crying thinking about the children, and she also says that if the children ask for me today evening, you can call me, you can send someone to my house. Okay, and Yumi says that you know my house. And but Hannah had already taken a decision that whatever happens, I am not going to call them. It is my pride. Okay, that have to be answered. They are leaving me just like that, so I won't call them. Okay, even whatever happens to the children. And yeah. And after that, he goes to the room of the prisoner, and he just instructs the prisoner that from today onwards you will be standing for 5 minutes, trying to stand for 5 minutes on your foot every day, and not more than that. And tomorrow you can try it twice, and like that you can try all these standing up things very slowly. And he saw a flicker of terror in the face of the man. He was very pale, and the boy said that okay, and eventually he was determined to say more. I feel I ought to thank you, doctor, for having saved my life. So he just thanks the doctor. Don't thank me too early, Sadao said coldly. He saw the flicker of terror again in the boy's eyes. Terror as unmistakable as an animal's. The scars on his neck were crimson for a moment. Crimson means bright red in color. actually wanted to ask, but he did not ask. And in the afternoon, what happened? The second thing happened. Hannah working hard, unaccustomed labor, because she was not used to do a lot of work like that. She was unaccustomed of doing such works over here. So she just was working hard in the kitchen and saw a messenger come to the door. Okay, so she was in the official uniform. So she was terrified and she just went on to Sadao gasping, thinking that the police have come to arrest Sadao because they somehow came to know that they have given refuge to a enemy. And she just went out over there, and the messenger told that the general, we spoke about the general in the very beginning, who was ill. Okay, so the messenger said that the old general is in pain and he wants you urgently. Okay, and yeah, when Sadao, and he just wants to go over there. And what is Sadao saying? The children were asleep and he goes, and Hannah says that I was so terrified thinking that they have come to arrest you. Okay, and Sadao goes to see the general, and the general was very weak, and he says that okay, of course the general said weakly, I understand fully, but that is because I once took a degree in the Princeton, so few Japanese have. I care nothing for the man, Excellency, Sadao said, but having operated on him with such success. Yes, yes, General said, it only makes me feel you more indispensable to me. Evidently you can save anyone, you are so skilled. You say you think I can stand one more such attack, so as I have had. Like, so they are speaking about the health condition of the general. So you are so skilled, and he says that I think I can tolerate another attack just like this. I will be surviving that too. And not more than one, Sadao said. So then certainly I can allow nothing to happen to you, General said with anxiety, and his long pale Japanese face became expressionless, which meant that he was in deep thought. And you cannot be arrested, the General said, closing his eyes. Suppose you were condemned to death, and the next day I had to have my operation. So he had just mentioned the things about the person over his house, and he says that you cannot be contemplated, because if you are contemplated, put into jail, and next day I will have to have my operation, what will I do? So I will do anything to save you. And he says that there are many other surgeons too, but the general says that no, I don't trust any one of them other than you. And it seems pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality. Then you could turn your prisoner over the execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me while I was unconscious. The general laughed. He had an unusual sense of humor as a Japanese. Could you not combine these two foreign elements? He asked. Sadao smiled. I am not quite sure, he said, but for your sake I would be willing to try, Your Excellency. The general shook his head. I had rather not been the test case, he said, and he felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed with the cares of his life and official time. So he just speaks about all these things, and what happens in this is he says that you can just hand over him to the police, okay, and you can say that it was a prisoner and I am not allowed him to escape anywhere else. And the conversation goes on like that, and Sadao agrees to whatever things has been done over there till the date. Okay, so I think this is fine for today. We will be continuing with the same in the next class. Okay, so with the next class we will be completing this chapter, and you can go through it. Please read through the lesson so that you will be getting an idea. And if you are having any doubt, please do